Placement and induction. Now, what happens once the person has been recruited and selected? Of course, we have selected the person. That means we have decided that this person is going to be a part of our organization and has been found suitable to occupy a certain position in the organization. Now, once that decision is taken, the communication should be made to the candidate in terms of offer. Now, this could be a letter of interest first we should issue to the candidates, maybe mentioning that we are pleased to inform you that you have been shortlisted for this position. Once that is done, then that appointment letter is issued, which describes at what designation, what kind of work schedule, what is the salary which had been decided, mutually agreed upon, and starting date, and what is the location where the person is required to work. So it's a whole bunch of documents, which is that a contract for appointment, letter of appointment. So it is given in two copies. One is signed, accepted by the applicant, and one signed by your employer, and it is kept with each of the parties. And all the conditions, all the rules regarding the employment are mentioned there, or at times there is an annexure which says employee rules and policies, HR policies or stuff, code of conduct. All those things are a part of that appointment letter or the contract of employment, which is signed by both parties, with each one having one copy each. So once that is done, on the due date, which is mentioned in that appointment letter, the person is supposed to join the organization, and that whole process, again, it could be different in different organization. Large organizations may have an elaborate kind of process, wherein a small organization may just have it within few hours, a day, and that's it. But in large organization, at times it is a whole 6 months or a 12-month kind of program. Whole training program is there for the new joinees. So this whole thing is called placement and induction. So as the name goes, placement is placing it properly. So this placement means that whosoever joins the new assignment, he is introduced within the job and the organization. And as Armstrong says, it is the process of receiving and welcoming the employee when he first joins and giving him the basic information he needs to quickly settle down and start the working. So basically, the organization is trying to give a taste of the culture of the organization so the person doesn't feel lost and he can socialize around, understand the work, understand the culture, understand the people he's supposed to work with, and start working without feeling that anxiety or confusion of what is to be done and how it is to be done. So, if we were to give the certain steps to this whole induction program and development, we will say that first step is defining and or refining the new employee's notification process. So the very first signing of that contract, employment contract between employee and the employer, is the start of this particular induction process. Because as I said, that letter may contain a lot of details regarding the job, the work, the maybe the dress, how to dress, and all those HR policies are or a slight mention that you may find the details of code of conduct in such as such website or whatever handout or a separate annexure. So that is the first step where this whole thing starts. Then identify the objectives of induction program. Now, if the organization intends to have a proper induction program, as in when you are inducting somebody, there could be that the person is straight away sent to his own department and the person can talk to his reporting manager and the work begins. Or there could be that there is a separate process wherein they go and report to the HR department, maybe have a half day kind of uh, introductory kind of session wherein HR gives a video or a PPT regarding what the company is about, what kind of different departments are there. So it has to be a properly planned thing, and if it is planned, then the objective needs to be very clear. Why are we doing that induction program? Is it just because everybody does it, or is it there is a purpose behind it? You want the employee to be more comfortable, or you want, whatever is the intention behind the whole project. Identify the audience. Now, what kind of people are you inducting? There could be freshers from the college. So at times when your freshers from the colleges like MBA schools or engineering colleges, they join organizations, companies like Indian Oil and all, they have a full, I would say, 6 months program around it. And in that 6 month program, there is actually 2 day, 3 day workshop wherein they have that campus to corporate kind of workshops as well. It is more of personality grooming, where even corporate etiquettes are taught and how to kind of behave in an organization. These kind of basic things are taught. Now, that is exactly the reason why you need to identify the audience. What if you are hiring a person who is at a senior manager level? Maybe that sort of program would not be suitable for that particular audience. So, there for senior levels, you might want to have a different sort of protocol, a different induction program. So, it has to be differently planned as per the audience. It cannot be a same standard procedure for each and every level of employee. Then design the induction program content and mode of delivery, whether it is going to be just through these days because the offices are not fully functional, it is all work from home. So the mode of delivery would be different as compared to what it used to be. It could be in the classroom mode, it could be on the job. So depending on that, the induction program again has to be planned. And then last but not the least, seek feedback and continuously improve it. That also becomes important, that how the new employee who got inducted felt about the whole program. Was it stressful? Was it really kind of helpful? So there the feedback will help to refine this program, and based on that feedback you start refining the new notification process again, whether that letter was good or the letter was explanatory enough, so on and so forth. Now, why do we do this thing? If you recollect in your organization behavior, we had talked about organization culture, how important it is for an employee to be a part of the organizational culture to effectively perform. So when we have this proper orientation process, we definitely reduce certain cost of making the person start working. Because if he is given a proper sort of orientation, he will be more productive as early as possible. Whereas if he's left to find out his own way around the organization, he might waste so many man hours trying to understand, and he might just have that hit and trial kind of thing on various things. To reduce anxiety, if the person is just joined, he can be very anxious, he's not sure about things. So orientation process, make sure that he's introduced to right people. He's told that what even simple things as cafeteria and washrooms, people have that sort of, they save time if somebody is actually guiding you around the office building and office space and how the things are to be done. To reduce employee turnover, yes, the first impressions matter a lot. If the employees are not handled well in the initial days, they have that disillusionment, and they start, because they are still in that uh, job market kind of scenario, because you've just hired him. He had must have that candidate must have been looking for jobs in other companies as well, and at times they're still, the process is still on for them. So if initial impression and orientation is not done in a positive manner, high chances that the employee might think of not really sticking to that company. And of also this planned kind of orientation uh, program saves a lot of time for supervisors and colleagues. Just imagine you've hired 10 people for a certain position, and the reporting manager is there, and these 10 people just, they walk in whenever they feel like, and they are kind of, introducing themselves or asking about work, so on and so forth. So it saves a lot of time if the whole thing is planned, and there is a session wherein all 10 of them can sit together, and the colleague or the supervisor is there to introduce everybody and the work and the organization, and it saves a lot of time. Just a realistic job expectation and job satisfaction. This is the time when people, when they get introduced, they know as an employee that whether they are going to be happy here or not, because that whole process gives them the realistic sort of feeling about the whole thing. Otherwise, typically when the interview process is happening, everybody is on their best behavior, but during this process people get to know what is their future, or what can be their future, what is their sort of levels. Now typically this planned induction program will have a very organized structure. There would be some kind of welcome to the organization sort of thing. So as I said, the HR might have a certain orientation session where they might show some uh, details about how to go about doing it. Then they explain about the company, the location, department where the new recruit will work, give the company manuals to the new recruit, provide details about various work groups, give details about policies, paid, benefit, holidays, leaves, etc. Explain about future training opportunities and career prospect. This also, as I said, once they get to know such things, just give them a realistic sort of picture at how is their future going to be in the organization, and any doubts which the new recruits would have are clarified during these kind of programs. Now these days, as I said, the because of this pandemic situation, we are all stuck at home. So otherwise, definitely this use of technology used to happen, but now it has become a mandatory sort of thing. A lot of companies have hired trainees and other people, and the induction process is all happening virtually. There is a buddy system, which is that when the person joins, the day the person joins, one person is assigned to him. So it could be a buddy, it could be a mentor as well. So he or she may not be in the same department. It is just that it is more like a friend whom you can just go and talk about anything, any doubt, any help which is required within the organization. Then developing a separate corporate induction program, which is like you might have a certain common thing for each and every level, irrespective of what level the person is joining at. You have a commonality in that you might be introducing the company, the HR policies, and so on and so forth, and rest could be different. So a separate corporate induction program can be developed, and then of course fun, an integral part of induction, because you want the person to loosen up, you want the person to kind of relax and mix with others. So it is a more of an ice breaking session or ice breaking kind of program which happens when the person joins a new organization. And then comes the after induction comes the placement. Placement is, as I said, joining at the specific job because the person has those specific skill set. So right person at the right job is what placement is all about. And when we are doing that, we are taking care of the competencies of the candidate, that there should be a perfect match. That is why competency mapping becomes very important, and these it is a buzzword last few years. More of the things are happening more on competencies, the promotions, the selections, the recruitment, whatever we are talking about, that people should have the matching competencies for that particular position. So what is competency? First of all, competency is knowledge, skill plus the ability. So when the person has that ability, then the person is suitable because he needs to grow and he needs to add value to that particular position. Now, competencies could be technical or functional, and other could be managerial. When we say managerial, it is like leadership skills, it is like communication skills, interpersonal skills. When we say technical, technical means, for example, if it is a position of a financial analyst, so that means the person should be good in finance subjects per se, and also should know the software which is required for holding that position. So that is functional or technical competency. So until and unless these kind of competencies are met, or the person possesses these competencies, he would not be a good fit for that job. So when we say fitment, so whom should you hire for? Is it the job, person and job fit, or is it should be person and organization fit? Meaning that when you are hiring a person, whether the person should fit the job, that is it, that is all you should see, or also take care of the person organization fit, meaning that when the person is also compatible with the organization's vision, mission, value, ethics and all. So when we talk of person job fit, we are typically talking of matching the competencies of the person with the position. If there is a match, that means there is person job fit. When we are talking of person organization fit, means that the person's beliefs, person's values, that is what are matching with the organizational culture. It cannot be that, and when we are hiring, so these both the things are of equal importance. You cannot typically ignore one for the other, because in the long run then it can backfire. And also it is not, the selection process is only from the point of view of the employer, it is also from the point of view of the person who is getting hired, right? So it becomes important that in that selection process itself, right from the step when the person has applied and he has been shortlisted for the next round, this kind of thing will come into play. Why? Because the applicant needs to have sufficient information regarding the job. The moment, let's say, you have applied somewhere thinking that this job is good, that the company is great, and you want to work, let's say, in Delhi NCR region only. But while this interview process or this hiring is going on, all of a sudden you get to know from the HR person that no, the Delhi position has been filled up, and now the position in South India is open. So now here, as an applicant, you may or you may not want to go ahead. So that job fit, person job fit, because you don't think you will be willing to go and work in South India. So that person job fit becomes an issue out here. The person would say the applicant might not be interested here. So it has to be balanced. Now, other example could be that in the whole process, your organization is a very ethical one, and they would not do any under the table kind of deal to get a project. But during the process of interview, a question is posed, a trick question is posed to the applicant, wherein a situation is given and asked that what would you do if this contract has to be backed by the company at all costs? And the applicant very quickly says, so what, we can easily bribe the people and get the contract. Now here it is a mismatch between organizations values and ethics and the person who is applying, because otherwise he matched all the criteria. He's a very perfect person as far as qualification, experience, competencies, even competencies are all matching, but his response reflects that his ethics may not match with the organization. So that is why this person job fit and person organization fit both become important aspects in the whole process of selection and recruitment. Let me know if you have any queries. Stay tuned for more content.